Welcome to Pipeline Profits, where we explore the latest trends, tools, and tactics that are shaping the current environment of sales and marketing. So, whether you're an entrepreneur, a real estate agent, or just a seasoned sales professional and you're looking to stay ahead of the game, this podcast is for you.
Yes, and this week we've got an awesome guest that we are excited to have with us here today. He is a serial entrepreneur, a super successful realtor, and has helped build one of the biggest independent brokerages in Ontario and is a leader there, both in sales and marketing. And super excited today to bring on Josh Benoliel from Property.ca.
Josh, welcome. If only we had a clap track here, right?
That's what you need. You need a little.
That's awesome. Well, no, we're looking forward to having you. I think, much like every podcast, I would love to learn a little bit more about your story. I know you and Ryan know each other pretty deeply, but I've heard many stories, and I know the name, but I would love to know the man a little bit more.
I like that. You heard all these stories and you still wanted me on your podcast? Wow.
Definitely. That's why I wanted you on the podcast.
Ryan wasn't drinking yet, that means.
That's awesome. So yeah, tell us a little bit about tell us about your sales story. I want to know a little bit about kind of like your history in the sales industry.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. How far back do you want me to go?
I want to know what your first sales job was, to be very honest.
My dad was in the textile business forever. And he had this factory, he used to like supply stuff for Walmart and all these big stores, pillows, schmutters, whatever. So when I was a kid, my dad always used to like have these sales once a year. He'd like liquidate all his stuff, and he'd have these sales, and I'd like go to these sales. He'd bring me on Saturday. My mom and him were working these sales and all their staff, and I'd be like working the floor. So like my youngest experience I remember of like being in sales was probably when I was like 8 years old, selling pillows to these women that would come in and buy them on the weekends from my dad and negotiating with them for $10 pillows. So that was like the beginning. I mean, it's been a long road since there. I come from a family of sales. My mom, in that business was on the shopping channel. My dad ran that business forever.
Wow.
And then, I started to get into my own stuff for a while. I was a big skateboarder. Built up from there, got into starting to do skateboard lessons. From building skateboard lessons, I started to build this summer camp for kids in Toronto, taking them to skate parks every day. That led to taking kids across Canada to skate parks every day over the time. Then I started to flip houses. That led me to realize that the real estate agents were making more money than I was. So then I got my real estate license. And you fast forward to today, and I'm VP of sales at Property.ca.
So you've never had a real job, eh?
Real job.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm skateboarding, and
I said serial entrepreneur. I love
it. No, I love it. I love
the man only knows how to work for himself.
No, I did work for some other people. I remember there was like one time, I was probably I must have been 17 because I had a car. And I remember I needed money. I wasn't going to do something. I needed to do something. I wanted to change it. So I had two real jobs that I worked for somebody. One was I walked into a Montana's restaurant, and I walked in and I said, "Who's the manager?" They're like, "What do you want?" And I go, "I want to speak to the manager." And they're like, "No." I go, "I'm here to speak to the manager. Bring him out." And he came out and said, "Listen, I'm like, I need a job." He goes, "What can you do?" I'm like, "I don't know. Just give me a job here." I ended up washing dishes for about 1 week worth of shifts. That didn't last long. And then I did the exact same thing at Urban Planet one time. And I was like cleaning up the back room and stuff. But it just, like Ryan said, it wasn't for me. And you said, Emma, I never really clicked working for somebody else. I've always needed to do my own thing. And I've finally found an environment where I can do so.
I thought you were going to say when you asked for the manager, he came out and he's like, "Karen?"
Yeah.
But little did he know, just the dishwasher, right?
Yeah, I dishwashed. It was
that's awesome, man. What to get into maybe something a little bit funnier, like what has been your craziest sales experience so far in your career of all the things that you've sold? Is there one thing that kind of comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. Ryan was on I started a podcast for a bit. I'm planning on bringing it back. It was called Tales of the Lockbox, which will be back soon.
Love it.
We just built a studio in the office, but it depends how far you want me to go. You know what I mean? Like, I've had crazy experiences. If you're a real estate agent and you're actually doing your job, especially if you work in our company, you're going out there and you're meeting people. And I find with what happens at Property.ca and Condos.ca is because of the source of inbound leads we continuously provide our agents with, and how we build our agents up. You constantly develop relationships with people that will be outside of your sphere of influence, right?
Sure.
Where 99% of agents that are out in their first year, 2, 3 years, they're dealing with their sphere of influence and whatever else falls through it. For us, day one of real estate, I'm meeting, people who have just moved here from Canada, or people who historically I would have never have gotten to. So I'm in this environment with people that are new to me and I have zero relationship with. And that puts you into, situations with them that's interesting, whether it's being stiffed on showings or stuff like that. But then it also, gets you out and going into showings more frequently because we have a very high flow of leads coming in. So, I'll give you a quick little, hey, one time I did walk into a showing and I knocked on the door. No one was there. They didn't answer. We knocked again. No one answered. We walked into the showing. We're walking around. The place is a disaster. Sure enough, we turned the corner of this apartment building and there was a guy just passed out naked, like out like a light, like didn't wake up, didn't do anything. And I was like, I'm in my head, I'm like, this guy might be dead right now. Like, I looked at the guys, I'm going to back up out of here for a minute. Eventually I kept saying, hey man, you okay? And he got up, but it was pretty wild experience for sure.
And then you were like, hey, Ryan.
Yeah. I knew you left the bar early, Ryan.
That's awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
What would you say? What would you say? Like, obviously you've started a lot of different businesses and grown some different businesses or being part of growing different businesses. What would you say was the most difficult product that you had to sell, and what made it so difficult to sell, whether it's product or service or whatever it may have been? But like, obviously when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting your own businesses, you're selling the business. Mm-hmm. What was the business that you think was the most difficult sale?
See, I don't think sales is difficult, but what I do think is difficult is managing people and dealing with people that are trying to sell things and multiple different angles of people trying to sell things, because everybody has a different type of personality traits and styles. And when you are managing, it started off as 5 agents to 60 agents to 90 agents to now 220 agents combined over the platform. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different problems that occur. So the hardest thing that I've had to sell is myself, to be able to work with these people, right? And to manage people and manage emotions and learn how to navigate those waters and sell the concept of growing to people. So selling a house, that's the easy part. There's a product, there's a buyer, there's a seller. That thing's easy. But when you need to sell a concept to somebody that they need to buy into, that's the hardest thing I think I've had to experience as an entrepreneur. You need to sell people into things. It's not easy.
So I hear you saying the selling yourself on constantly staying motivated to stay motivated to sell them, to be in alignment with the vision, right? It's kind of like this domino effect of I need to have my A game on in order to make sure that I'm presenting this information accordingly, to make sure that they're motivated and that they want to help to continue to grow the business. So are there any tactics or strategies that you implement on a regular basis to kind of get yourself in the right mindset to sell yourself on being the best version of yourself for them?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always educating myself in every way, from a leadership, from a growth, from a coaching perspective, how my mindset is. But when I go to work and I'm like going into the office when I need to like do a bunch of things for the day or I have a lot of meetings lined up, like I'm 100%. There's a channel on Spotify, like motivation, whatever. And like, I might not always be listening to 110%, but it's on for a good 50. Like, I think Ryan was at our office today. He probably heard me walk in. I was like listening to it this morning, and I always have it on in the background. Like when we start a sales meeting with the team now, I have it on in the background, whether someone's listening or not. Like when you hear someone yelling at you of like, you have to go, it definitely fires you up and it puts you in the right position. So I'm constantly doing stuff like that.
Question.
Right.
So earlier you had mentioned, say the sales is easy. So like obviously sales comes naturally to you and it's easy for you. What part of sales do you think is difficult for others that shouldn't be, right? Like, cause I see that all the time. Whereas like other people are like, I feel like a lot of salespeople make it difficult for themselves. Is there a particular part of selling or the sales process that maybe came naturally to you that you find easy, that you would kind of like give a tip to listeners that like just get out of your own way and this can be easy for you as well, or change your mindset on how you think about it, from that perspective?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, selling might be easy, but there's a lot of parts of it to get better at that I've adapted over the years that I think were hard pieces. I think the biggest thing that I think I'll take a perspective from somebody in the middle ground, not at the bottom and not at the top. Somebody who wants to get to that next level, who's had some success. I use our platform as an example because it's really where I feed off of and I know the most. In our platform, you'll see agents who have banged out 30, 40 leases in 6 months, like an animal, right? Like they get it. They are dialed in. They know exactly what to do. It boom, 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 deal after deal. The second they start getting into a sales role, it goes from selling something that people want and that they need you for to selling something that they might use you to help them buy. But unless you're starting to provide value to people and really understanding what they need, you're not really going to get ahead. You might have a good conversation. You might get an appointment with them, but to get to closed, it's a much harder process than it is from that beginning level where you've had massive success. So you really got to humble yourself in that situation to realize, hey, these are two separate beasts here. I've done well, but the key piece that I've identified in that for myself and for others is learning how to listen to the needs of other people, right? In that environment, people come out of a role where you're dealing with leases. So you're really telling people what they need from you. You need their paperwork. You need to do this. You need to, we need to go on showings fast. We need to move. But when it comes to buying $1 million condo in Toronto, the people have options of what agent they're going to use. There's, real estate agents are all over the place fighting for business. But you also need to listen to what their needs are. And a lot of, consumers might not tell you, buyers might not tell you what their needs are very easily. And they might not ever tell you what they are. You have to listen for them to what their needs are. And sometimes that's cryptic. You know what I mean? Someone might not say, hey, I'm going to buy, my need is $1 million condo with 2 bedrooms and it needs to be next to this school for this reason. But they might say, hey, my kid goes to this school and it's important that we keep saying it. Like, so you got to really read between the lines and listen instead of selling and sell of talking. So
yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think the one thing where you can kind of tell a newer agent or maybe earlier in their career, or maybe they're amazing at leases and they're just transitioning over, is when they ask the question, so what's your motivation for moving? Mm-hmm. And then they assume that the first response out of that person's mouth is the true answer without kind of going a layer deeper. So do you have any like tips or tricks that you kind of teach your guys or that you use to help? I know you said read between the lines. And I think for all of us that are on this call, it's easier because we've done it and we've kind of gone through the buyer profile and we understand the typical needs and wants. So we kind of catch those things. But would there be any kind of like shortcuts if I'm a new agent that you would say, hey, this is what you should really be listening for? I know you said the school thing, or could I change the way I ask the question or the wording?
Well, I mean, like for like a quick answer, like, looking for the time, budget, location of where they're going, where they want to be. Those are key, indicators of how you're going to operate. Once you know when they want to move and, how much they're going to spend and where they need to be, that helps you a lot. Mm-hmm. But part of it is also building rapport. I think rather than a quick answer. The better answer that you need to realize to develop a relationship with somebody, to be able to sell them something actually, is to develop a rapport and to figure out a way to find a connection between you and them that might not have anything to do with real estate. It could be about your kids. It could be about, you know, the Grateful Dead. It could be about whatever, but finding that connection and building a relationship or rapport around that makes it a lot easier for you to edge into getting to the more direct questions that you need to ask them. It happens over time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. A lot of times salespeople get stuck because they think they have to sell something, when a lot of times people, whether they're looking to buy or sell themselves, they're going to buy or sell. They're actually just looking for the right person that makes them comfortable to do it, right? Oh, yeah. And a lot of people forget that. They're like, I'm here to sell them. I'm here to do. But really, these people, they're buying or selling no matter who the representative is. Or like when I go out to look at a car, fine, I know I want a car before I go to that car lot, right? I've done so much research, so on and so forth. When I go to that car lot, one of two things is happening. I'm either buying the car that I went there to buy because the person who approaches me knows it's more than just buying the car, because I'm buying the car. They know it's like making me comfortable with my purchase, making me feel good about it, building some rapport, some commonality, you know, figuring out why I want the car and telling me why this car is a great fit for me, or, you know, what I didn't like about my last car and how this car is different. Whereas if they come and they're just trying to sell me the car, I may like feel so off put that even though I wanted the car, I don't want the car from this person.
They ruined it for you.
Yeah. And like, it's taken the joy out of a purchase, because when you're spending your hard-earned dollars on something, should we not enjoy the purchase of buying whatever it is we're buying as humans? Like, should that not be a human right? Like, I'm trading my time, right? I'm trading my time to make this purchase because my time earned me the money. So should I not enjoy trading my time for that new thing I'm getting? And I think that gets forgotten a lot. And it's like that human element is what I think you're really good at, and that you get, that's hard to teach people, or that some people don't get.
Well, listen, I screwed that up. I didn't get this far without making that mistake before too, right? Like, you know, everyone has those days, everyone has those moments, and, you know, especially with online leads that flow to you, it happens even faster. You got to believe, you got to recognize that too, because we deal with a lot of people quickly, but we also deal with a lot of random people. Like a lead that's sent to you, or a referral that you get from a past client, that's a much different lead than a random person who logged onto a website and just clicked in. So it's, you know, you can lose that disconnect much quicker, right? Like if you walked into that car dealership and you knew you were buying a Porsche, and your buddy's like, oh, you're going to speak to Dave at Downtown Porsche, he's probably going to already not be pushing you the same way as if you just walked in a suit and walked into the Porsche dealership downtown. The sharks are going to be on you, right? And they're going to be, and some will be better, and hopefully you get the right one that's just kind of like tells you that, give me $5,000 and we'll call you in 3 years when your car is ready. But no, definitely, you got to ease into it. And people are spending a ton of money, and how you relate to them and make them feel good about it is the most important thing.
So I want to kind of touch on something. You mentioned online leads, and I know that is a massive component or a massive portion of your business. What is one of the biggest mistakes that you see with agents when it comes to online leads? Because I honestly feel like online leads for some agents is this completely like unknown universe that seems like these unicorn magic deals that, you know, pop out of the sky. So what are some maybe tips or tricks that you could give to agents that are unfamiliar with online leads, given the fact that that's kind of like your zone of genius?
Yeah, if they're listening to, you're an agent with online leads today, it's going to be valuable for you, because Ryan and I have a lot of experience in this.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll take a generic Facebook lead as, I'll take any lead. Every single online lead that you have, they are at one point or another going to buy or sell real estate, whether it's a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, they are going to buy real estate. You connected with them somehow. Sometimes it might be by mistake. They clicked on an ad and they don't know what they click with, but there's a timeline there. So there's a couple pieces at play here. Number one is speed to lead, how fast you can connect with that person. I talk about this all the time. People need to recognize that the average consumer is expecting a response within 45 seconds of doing something. The average lead time for in North America for a sales response is 48 hours. So, within 5 minutes, you got to get in touch with that person. But the bigger part of that is the nurture. An online lead is not going to be, unless you get very lucky, or potentially if with Facebook leads, you got to get really, really lucky, like really, really lucky. At least with our platform, you can get a little bit luckier faster. There's a nurture process there. That process needs to be monitored. And the biggest mistake agents make with online leads is, like you said, they're looking for a Hail Mary. I'm just going to spend this money and they're going to pop in and boom, I'm going to do a deal. That happens once in a blue moon, but these leads need to be nurtured. So you need to have a CRM or some type of process that you're following that's allowing you to stay in constant communication with these leads based on what you can pull out of that first conversation, which happens of how you approach it. So once you get through that door and understand, hey, this person just clicked on this Facebook lead about my property that's listed for $1 million in downtown Toronto, what information can I extract from that? How can I start to add value to that person? Because they might start shopping around from other places. So A, I want to start to add value to their life. How can I do that? That's the most important thing you can do. And B, what's my strategy of staying in touch with these people? How frequently? What's the communications going to be? And the truth of the matter is in the world we live now, automated drip campaigns and things like that, people are utilizing them and starting to, they think it's the end all for them. I got a lead. I spoke to them once. I started some type of automation. And then in a year from now, this person's automatically going to come back to me and I did my job. But there's a human factor in there, and consumers are smart. And technology's smarter, right? You could be really good at it and adding AI and it's getting better. And there's things out there that you can be doing, but that's a support tool. That's not a crutch. That's not your lifeline in this industry. It's a tool that can be used, and if it's used properly, will support you and will help you be successful. But if you rely on that and you think inbound lead, drip campaign, deal, go work at McDonald's. It'll be easier money for you. You'll spend less of your money and you'll make more. Maybe not McDonald's. Go bartend somewhere. I say that, right? So, but that's how I am. I hit it hard.
I like it.
You've obviously, studied this stuff and learned over time and gotten experience. Is there one for all our listeners out there? Like, if you had to recommend, is there like one book that you've read, or course that you've taken, or program that you've done, or coach that you've had, other than myself, of course, just joking, but that you would like tell everybody, if you want to get better at this should be your first step, or something that you really need to do? Like, if you really want to perfect your sales game, or, build a strong pipeline and learn how to nurture, like, is there one book that you'd tell people to go read, or one course you tell them to take, or one?
On an easy answer, yeah. I think The Conversion Code is a very good book for people who are working on online leads. I don't think the whole book might be exactly what you need to do, but there's definitely information. But when it comes to being successful, you're not going to get it all from one place. There's no magic pill here. It's been 6 years of me being a real estate broker now, and it's constantly changing. I work with Ryan at times as my coach. I work with another guy. I've been through 4 or 5 coaches, and I've learned different things from all of them, and their time has come and their time has passed. And some of them I can circle back to and say, hey, we related on this. There's, the 5 a.m. Club was another book. While it might not be a sales book, it dramatically changed the way I worked my life. Like, I'm up at 5 a.m. till 7, and it's my favorite time of my day now. Like, I very rarely let things get in the way of that. So I think the easy answer is, if you're looking for a quick shot with an online lead, that's something that can help you, get The Conversion Code. You'll pull some great stuff out of there. The audiobook is amazing. There's some amazing pointers that will help you convert online leads better. If you're looking to be successful in real estate, you got to start trying things. You got to find the right people to connect with. An easy way to start: join a team that has a real leader on it, that has a real person that's not just looking to make money from you, There's a lot of teams and brokerages out there that just want you to join so you can make money off of you. You need to work with somebody who actually cares and who's actually going to take the time to do that. And I think it's hard to find right now out there, to find genuine people who will do that potentially, but they are out there. And that model is starting to change, right? The traditional real estate brokerage model of paying your desk fees and showing up and that's enough is not alive. It's not going to be alive for much longer. It is alive, but it's not going to be the same. It's changing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think coming from the world of online leads as well and coming as a team leader who specifically helps with online leads, like I can just really echo what you're saying is that there are way too many people out there that are like, hey, let me kind of like hitch my wagon to your star kind of thing. And like, I'm just going to try and find the right people and like, let them pay my bills kind of thing. And I think it really is important to make sure as a team leader and also as somebody who's on a team that you truly are in alignment and that you're both people are getting value out of the relationship. And I think it can be, sitting with the two of you guys who are also predominantly online lead enthusiasts, really vetting if you are joining a team that is going to provide you online leads, you have to ask the right questions to understand if that person is qualified and equipped to allow you or to provide you with the tools to have success with the leads. Because I know too many team leaders that they buy third-party leads. They have no idea what they're doing. They say, I'll guarantee you some leads. And then there's no support system on the back end to actually help you have success. And then that's where the resentment or the frustration gets built.
Totally.
The leads are the easy part these days, right? It's like, does the team you're joining offer the opportunity and mentorship to show you how to and teach you and support you and give you the systems to then close the leads and turn the leads into actual business, right? And then, for me, if I'm telling someone you're just getting in to look at a team, the next piece is, are they also going to be invested in you building your own business as well? If it's only about their business and everything you learn is helping to build that person, like, you want to grow as a human. And so like, that's the second piece of it for me, but definitely like just a lead. Anybody can offer just a lead, but it's like, what is my success? Ask them, what is their success in helping people close leads? What's the average conversion rate on their team for these leads? Like, asking those types of questions. But I agree with Josh, like joining a platform like, Emma started with Zoocasa. I started with MrLoft.ca, which turned into Condos.ca. Josh, you obviously started with Condos.ca. All bit in Canada, the two biggest lead generation platforms for real estate online leads. I think it's important to get beyond the lead and ask questions around like, how are you going to help me turn that lead into money?
But that's the thing, is that all of these agents who come in for these interviews, I would say, if an agent walked into my office and asked me that question right there, I don't know. They could take my car home. You're the winner. You're the winner. Like, and that's where the conversation has to change, right? The conversation when you hire somebody in your team these days is like, for the most part, most people, so you give me leads, right? And it's like, well, yeah, but like, now I got to go to the other side of that conversation. I give you leads, but I also have standard operating procedures. I also have KPIs in place. I also have, checkpoints in 30 days and 90 days. I'm monitoring you. I have weekly phone calls. I'm watching everything you do and how you're converting these leads.
Yeah.
Because it takes so much. And it's like, really, if you look at the team leader agent relationship with a platform like we're all dealing with, the agent's the winner in the situation here if they work with any one of us. Not us. I'm going home fuming and angry about other things that are happening, and most of the time, you're the winner. You're the one who, you call me right now, I'm answering my phone, I'm helping you with your problem, I'm coaching you through your deal.
Yeah.
Yes, I get compensated monetarily for it, but does that mean that like the value that you're getting is tenfold over from what I'm going to get paid to do this, and what it cost me to be able to train you to get through this? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of agents like don't see that. They don't know that. They just think, well, you're the leader, you're making money from me, answer my phone call, like mafia style. It's like, well, hold on, this is
that's their
street.
And that's in the interview. Like, that's always their second question. So question one is like, are there leads? Are you going to give me leads? And question two is, what's my split? How much of my deals am I getting? And my question, and that's the wrong question. Like, if you want to make money in sales, the question, you shouldn't care about what the company's taking. You should care what goes in your pocket at the end of the day. Or as like our friend Tom Story likes to say, the beans that end up in your jeans, right? That's what the care should be. So you should be asking difficult questions of team leaders if you're looking to join a team on just what we talked about. Like, how are you going to help me convert these leads? And how have you helped other people? And what does their success look like? And stop asking about what your split is, because if you go from making $0 to 300K in 2 years, do you really care what the team leader or the company's taking?
100%. And I think I think one of the things that agents, it was a mindset shift that I had, and I'm sure you guys did too. And Josh, you kind of alluded to this, is agents don't necessarily always do the math. They just see the one side, right? And so if I'm an agent and I'm going to go to any team and I'm just shopping around teams and I'm looking for the best split, I'm never looking at, okay, how close am I to the team leader? What is the support that I get? And the most important question is, if you're a new agent and you're watching this, like, please take this to the bank. What would it cost me? What would it cost me out of pocket to hire this person to be my coach on an annual basis? If somebody called me, trust me, it's going to be pretty expensive to hire Ryan, myself, or you independently to do what we would do for our team leader. And so you're like, okay, well, is the amount that I'm going to pay on my splits for them to provide me all the system support, keep me accountable, give me the coaching, have your direct number, do all of those things. It's typically a heck of a lot cheaper to join the team and get those services than what it would be to hire that person one-on-one outside of it. And you really have to take those things into consideration, because sometimes you feel like you're giving up a lot because we have this just inherent thing as humans where we're more focused on the loss than we are on the gains. But when you actually focus on like what I'm actually getting out of this deal from a monetary perspective with how much this person makes and what they should otherwise charge me, it's typically a pretty damn good deal if you got a good leader.
Beyond the good deal. I think I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe I should just go and sell my time to people. It'll be less stress because I can walk away at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing too is when people pay you cash up front, they tend to be more invested. And I think that's one of the challenges as a team leader is you're like, I'm trying to make this work as best as possible. And you don't have to take any of your beans out of your jeans until the deal gets done. But sometimes I think it's, again, kind of human nature where it's, if you're not parting ways or voting with your dollars, sometimes you don't value the things that you get. And it's interesting to see that sometimes when people pay you for the same information first versus later, the person that paid you more money first gets better results because they just take it more seriously.
So let me ask you this. Obviously you guys have grown, a big team based off online leads. Is there one attribute that really, like, if someone comes in for an interview, is there like one attribute that you look for that gets you really excited? And then on the flip side of it, is there like another attribute or behavior or something that someone says that you're immediately like, doors closed, not going to be successful in sales in general, and especially with online leads?
Definitely. If you walk into the office and I can tell that you are hungry, like if you have no other job, you're maybe in like not a bad place, like that's also a bad thing, but like if you're like, hungry, like, there's, one of the guys on our team, he's like 25 years old. He comes in like this guy driving a beater car, but the guy wants a brand new Mercedes Benz. Like, he's hungry. You could see that he's probably got like 10K in debt on his credit card because he's going out to the nice restaurants. He's doing it. That's the kind of guy or girl that I would want on my team, because I can teach them everything else. They could have zero computer skills. They could have very poor sales skills. But if they are hungry and motivated to get it, then that's the one thing you can't teach somebody. You can't make somebody hungry. At the same time, if somebody walks in, and they're like, yeah, I've been working at Remax. I'm a part-time agent. I also work at this kitchen cabinetry company as the, deals administrator 3 days a week. And, I'm just really looking to switch to a brokerage, but you guys have leads, right? Because yeah. Oh, I don't care what the split is, but if you're going to give me leads, I'm good. It's like, and I've had to learn this the hard way, trust me. And, because you put so much time into training into those people, and it's just like, they don't care. And it's just, these days for team leaders out there, what I know is that a smaller, stronger team is 10 times more powerful than a bigger, less producing team. So you want hungry people and full-time agents.
I love it. So if full-time agents, yeah. So prefacing somebody's a full-time agent, and let's just open up the lockbox here for these guys. I'm a new agent. I'm listening to the podcast right now. I'm hungry. I'm motivated, and I want to work for Josh. I come into Josh's office. What are the 3 questions that I should really be asking you in that interview for you to be like, I'm throwing out the red flags. We're all good, baby. Let's get started tomorrow. What are the 3 questions that would kind of like blow you away as a team leader?
Someone walked in and said, listen, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to be successful, and I want to make $100,000. How long is it going to take me, and what do I got to do that? Someone said that to me right straight out. We got it. I got you. No problem. Got the answer for that. If somebody walked in and said, I understand that real estate is a long game. How much time should I expect to develop into a really successful agent? What would that look like? Interested in you talking to you. You know what I mean?
Very thoughtful question. Yes. Very thoughtful.
Another good one that would be out there is that, if someone really came in and actually interviewed me, I'd be interested in them too. Because often enough, I'm interviewing them and asking them questions. If someone came in and flipped the script on me, like Ryan would say, if you started to ask me, what can I expect from your brokerage? How much is the training? What kind of training do you offer? How often does it come? What is the average time for your agents to be successful, to make it to this amount of money? You must have these statistics, where is your lead source coming from? How often is it being updated? Asking me real in the business questions about really, that's interesting. If they came in with a perspective of wanting to work on the business and had that mentality of understanding the concept of working on the business, even if they didn't know that that's what they were asking me, because it could happen subconsciously, that would be my key, versus somebody who walks in and they're just like, they're asking me questions they're asking me in the business question.
Yeah, no, I think those 3 are critical. And I think there's definitely not enough agents out there that have the insight to, or honestly prepare, which is another mind-boggling thing. We could probably do a whole nother hour on of, doing research before you actually show up for an interview, and showing up for interviews and only applying for interviews for positions that you really want, where I think a lot of it is like testing the water and like wasting a lot of time to just see where can I get the best deal, instead of saying, these are the 2 or 3 options that I want, and I'm going to do everything that I can. If you're going to be a salesperson, you better damn well be able to sell the brokerage on having you as a salesperson, if you want to be a great salesperson. And I think far too often, especially with newer agents, it's like, I've been at this brokerage and I'm going to go to this brokerage, and it's always somebody else's problem. Where really, I think what you just said were like the 3 questions would take so much insight to know that they want to work there for you, right? And I think that's a big thing as a team leader is understanding, like, if we're in a business partnership together, are you going to bounce on this in the first probationary period in the 90 days? Or are we in this long term?
In the essence of time, we've really appreciated your time. So I want to give some rapid fire questions so
we're good.
So people can get to know Josh Benoliel a little bit better. So, favorite sports team?
So that was the one question I saw from the questionnaire that you sent me earlier. I'm not a big sports fan, but I will tell you my favorite sports team is the Nike SB skateboarding team.
I like it. Rarity. Very unique answer.
Which brings me to my next question that I already had lined up, and you set me up for it even more.
Yeah.
Best trick you can still do on a skateboard.
Ooh.
The best trick I can still do is probably like a nollie 360 shove it. It's just like an easy trick that I've always been able to do. But now I have a 2-year-old and he's addicted to skateboarding, like completely. So I'm starting to get some tricks back again. So I'll be tray flipping again in no time.
If one of your agents could do a nollie 360 shove it, would you hire them?
Depends what they were wearing when they came in.
Love it. Love it.
They did it in a suit? Oh, yeah.
Definitely. There you guys go. You want to get hired? Better start practicing YouTube videos.
Do skateboard tricks in suits. Favorite thing to do for yourself?
Well, you know the answer to that when you prime that one too. It's in the morning, I have a sauna and I have an ice bath in my backyard and I have a hot tub, and my days don't start properly unless I'm in those 3 things in the morning. So sauna, ice bath, hot tub.
Amazing. I've been there. It's great.
If you're an agent looking to join my team, I'm happy to have you here for an interview.
One thing that you wish you knew when you first got into this business that you know now?
You need to be really emotionally strong to be in real estate. You have to be able to defend yourself against yourself really well. No one talks about that ever.
It's a very good point. And it's very true.
Very, very true.
And it's the hardest thing to do. And it gets harder and harder. It does not get easier ever. The more you get, the more money, more problems.
If you're an agent trying to, every phone number is a lead. So in my mind, it doesn't matter whether you get it from an open house, door knocking, online, referral. If it's a phone number, it's a lead. So for any agent that has phone numbers or leads or contact information, what's one piece of technology that they need to be leveraging now?
They must have a CRM.
Favorite CRM?
Follow Up Boss works incredible. They really have it dialed in. They have a great support system. They'll train you, they'll coach you, they'll work you through it. Follow Up Boss does a great job if you can afford it.
I'm right there with him. I'm Follow Up Boss. I'm a hardcore fan of Follow Up Boss. I would never switch up on it.
Yeah, we're all Follow Up Boss junkies.
I use Follow Up Boss for my leads. I converted Follow Up Boss into an agent management tool for myself as well.
Really well. He did a really good job of that.
I flipped it.
I pushed this guy into Follow Up Boss for leads, and then he flipped it and made it like an agent management tool where like he knows more about his agents than they know about themselves, honestly.
And how we communicate with each other from like our leadership teams and everybody, like it's a really interesting thing, and we're continuously enhancing it. It's really great. If you all are on Follow Up Boss, I now use like our smart list of how I do my follow-up check-ins with my agents. Depending on where you are on my team, you're on a smart list now, which automatically takes my pressure of having to keep track of you, and not to say you in that, not to subjectively control you, but to give me the prompts that I need to know, hey, I haven't spoken to David in 2 weeks. David's an agent that's making 100 to 200 grand. He needs that check, and he's in this category, following up with it. So it's really fun. So CRMs are very powerful tools, and there's a world of how you can explore them, and they're not just what they provide you with. I figured out how to crack mine open a little bit differently.
Love it.
Yeah.
So Josh, we thank you so much for your time. For all our listeners out there that want to stay in touch or want to be able to find Josh and keep on top of what you're doing, what you're growing at Property.ca and Condos.ca, or maybe reach out and try to show up big for the interview, they should get the job if they listen today. They know what you're looking for. How can people find you and stay in touch?
So the number one is on Instagram. I'm a big believer in pushing my Instagram platform at JBenols, JBENOLS, at JBenols. You can also email me at josh@property.ca. Very easy to remember. And reach out. I'm happy to inspire. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to provide insights. One thing we said here, I kind of dabble past. I said, I should just coach people. But the truth of the matter is what I do is not about money. Leading my team has never been about making money. It's always been, it's my win. You know, I don't necessarily celebrate when I sell a $2 million house as much as I do is when I see one of my agents put a for sale sign in the ground for the first time. That's a much bigger win for me on a personal level than any real estate. Oh, not any, but an average real estate deal that I could do myself. So thank you guys so much for having me. You know, this was really fun. I definitely should be on more podcasts because I like it. And you guys are great. And this has been an incredible experience, and I look forward to connecting again.
Thanks, Josh. That was great. And yeah, if anybody's going to do a nollie 360 shove it, and you send a video to Josh, he'll let us know, and you're allowed to be on the podcast. So, but you have to be a licensed realtor because
you're a realtor and you do a nollie 360 shove. I'll send you 5 leads today.
Done. All right. I hope to watch to the end because that one.
Tag me, I'm in. Oh, you got to be in a suit though.
Thanks, Josh. We really, really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.